What's going on, new Fighting Order fans? This is your host, Alexlexs and Nelson Rios of Fighting Game League and New Mugen Order, coming at you with the February 9th podcast of 2013. Now, as you see, we got more of the members, and this is On Your Knees' first podcast for 2013, so let's welcome him back into the new year. And we got, staff member Nupe on the ones and twos, DJ Noopy Noop. And
really?
And apologies to Tough Nerd Toys CEO Tough Nerd. We were trying to do the podcast last night, and it was just, we were trying to get everybody together. I lost power last night while me and Nupe was trying to set this stuff up. Yeah. You know what? Anyway, so yeah, to Demizzle and Tough Nerd Toys, we're gonna get you on a future podcast. The staff is growing, so now we have to pick and choose who we're putting on specific topics and everything. So we're also looking to revisit topics with other members, so we get their points of view as well. So without further ado, On Your Knees, since you weren't here for the last podcast, how was your holiday season and coming into 2013?
Same shit, different year, essentially. Not much going on there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, how much snow did you get?
Today, I think we got about a foot, but I'm further south than you, and you said you got 2 feet.
Yeah, just about. We got slammed. Yeah. Nelson, what about you? How's the snow in your area?
The snow hasn't really hit us that hard. To be honest with you, I think we only got about probably 6 or 7 inches of snow. That's it. Not that serious. It's already being shoveled out right now.
And I wonder why. Yeah, I wonder why we got blasted the way we did. And you saw the pictures I put up on Facebook. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, shit. All right, Luke, what about you? How'd the weather affect you down there?
We just have cold days, and then we have hot days, man. It's back and forth, but no precipitation like that.
Alrighty. All right, done with the introductions. Here's our topics. We are breaking the podcast up into 2 parts. The first part, we're going to be talking about the industry, the new consoles coming out, and just what our predictions are for the new Xbox, the new PlayStation. And I'm actually going to take some digs on Nintendo today. With all things considered, some business moves on their end really is hurting them. And we're out. The second part is going to be established franchises going into reboots. Now, the sky's the limit on that topic. We were supposed to do that last time, but again, real life pops in. I'm supposed to be at Army training today, but because of the blizzard, everything has been shifted to the left. So here we go. Now, news has dropped that information on the successor to the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, are on the horizon, okay? February 20th, we're going to be getting some information on the new PlayStation codename Orbis. Now, we already have some numbers, and I know our staff members have the specifics on the specs on both systems, but the thing that really kind of brought this podcast together, Brother Noop and I were talking on Xbox Live, and the new Xbox, rumor has it will require an internet connection for you to use the system.
Oh, boy.
No bueno. Problem with this is now, for tournament holders, that's going to be a problem. And it's bad enough that Sony is going to be locking out used games on the PlayStation Orbis. You know what I mean? Now Microsoft is not doing any better by requiring people to have an internet connection. All things considered, I just wanted to go around the table. Since On Your Knees hasn't been around for a while, I'm going to give him the floor first, then Nelson, then Nuke. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on what Microsoft and Sony are going to do with this, especially mainly on the Microsoft side, with requiring an internet connection for this console?
Well, it's not wholly unexpected. They've been talking about this for a while now, but now it's getting closer to launch for these consoles. So I'm still waiting on the official word from Microsoft before I can do final judgment. But with the way it's going, they see how Steam is doing it. They also have this perceived notion of piracy being a problem. And they're mainly combating that. They're also making it easier for them, rolling out firmware updates, things like that. And it's just another way for them to exercise an extra level of control over the content. Like you said, I didn't even think about the tournament holders. They're doing the same shit Blizzard and Activision try to pull with StarCraft 2, where there's no local play. You have to be online all the time, and that caused a big snafu in Korea. But with the way it's going, if they're locking everything out, I have a PC that does the same thing, so I'll be abandoning the console market if it does it. But until we hear official word from Microsoft, that's where we're currently standing on it. I think it's a garbage move. They shouldn't do it, and they're just doing it just to exercise an extra level of control and another way to squeeze money out. They don't give two shits about. They like to cry piracy as a way to make people feel bad for them, but it doesn't affect them at all. People who would be pirates usually end up buying more content. There were studies for the MPAA that realized this fact. People who download music tend to buy more than people who just buy the music. So it's, people sample the games that they like it, they'll buy it. If not, they'll just move on. And if you cut that whole portion out, people will just not buy your product at all. So that's what I see. I think it's going to hurt them overall. But it's a matter of how to decide to implement it and if there will be any benefits. At least with Steam, everything's online only, but you only need your login. You go to a friend's place, you log in with your account. It's all cloud safe, so all your stuff is there. And as long as they have the game, it's ready to go. And they have massive sales all the time. You can get stuff, upwards of 90% off at times. And Microsoft currently with their market, stuff rarely gets marked down, and even then it's minuscule. PlayStation's making good strides in that regard from what I know, but I don't have a PlayStation, so I don't know what this new PlayStation Store thing's doing, but I hear they're doing something similar to Steam. So they're going in the right direction, but I don't think Microsoft is.
And, you made some good points there. And if, let's say, with the whole requiring internet connection, and they go the route of Steam with distributing the titles, the studios now have to make the games cheaper because you're cutting out production costs, pressing the disc, shipping, things of that nature,
Yeah, that's something they haven't been doing with Steam, which is annoying. That's why I typically don't buy games at launch unless it's something that I really want. But they're not going to lower the price. Remove any notions of that. They're not going to lower the price. They may lower it quicker than they have in the past. But those new games in 16, they may even jack up the price because they say it's a new generation. We have to spend millions and millions of dollars, which is garbage. They don't need to do it, but they like to think they're catering to the mass audiences, which like pretty games with no depth, and graphics take a lot of time and effort. That's where most of the money goes into for these games.
Okay. All right, so Nelson, what are your thoughts on this requiring of internet connection for the new Xbox? I mean, if that's going to be an issue, I foresee some major issues with that.
Well, to get off the tournament handling side of it, it's just going to cause a lot of trouble because not many people could just go to a venue and just get wireless connectivity as to make it at least stay online for it to get updates or whatever. Not many people have the luxury of that. So if this happens, most likely they're going to have to do some crazy hacking shit to the point where it tricks the console and making it seem like it's already online. And I don't think anyone wants to go to that length of extent just to play at a tournament for these games. And that will also stop the future evolve of the community to play future fighting games on the new next-gen consoles. Because then we're just going to digress and just stay playing what we already are playing, like Street Fighter 4, Ultimate Marvel, and so forth. But I think, honestly, that's a stupid idea to...
I think something else they may do is they may issue special tournament consoles or tournament licensed games where you don't need the internet connection, but you have to pay a premium for the game. Way back in the day, that's what Blockbuster used to do. They used to pay multiple hundreds of dollars or $100 for their tapes because they could rent them out legally with the movie studio's permission. That's why it used to cost an arm and a leg to replace videos when you lost them. But they may do something like that where they charge premium prices for consoles. You may pay double, triple, whatever they want you to pay, and you pay an extra premium for the game so you don't have to play online. And you might have to
All
go
right.
through some type of special vendor licensing or whatever they want you to do. But that'd be another way for them to make that accommodate that. But who knows if they're going to do it.
Now, before I give Brother Nuke the floor, the issue with that, it's going to hurt tournament holders. And I'm, for Rod Lane and King of the Couch, the way that when we used to work with them, all the systems were offline, okay? It's even to do things offline, it's expensive. Things are going to become more expensive. And then, like Underneath said, if they have to get tournament licenses and whatnot, those who are struggling to run these tournaments or doing grassroots style tournaments at the Break Arcade up on 22, you know what I mean? You're going to completely, remove what, the fun times of that stuff. It's almost like they're trying to control every little nook and cranny and every dark alley of running these little events. And I don't think it's done intentionally to hurt these venues, but in doing that, going that route, it's going to hurt them, and I mean, I can see that as a foreseeable problem. That's pretty much going to kill LAN parties. You know what I mean? When I was in Iraq, when I really got into Call of Duty, was over there doing LAN parties, and it's just okay, if we're all going to require internet connection, some of the soldiers who are deployed that don't have the luxury of using a VSAT to get internet over there, you're going to fuck them over. It's just wow, the prerequisite to have internet connection is not going to be received too well. I'm just hoping it's a rumor. But all the other things that they're saying about the Xbox 720 or codename Durango, it's almost all but confirmed. The multiple sources are confirming that the initiative, the direction that Microsoft is going, is indeed the routes that they will be going. And that kind of scares me a little bit. But, Brother Noop, what are your thoughts on the whole requiring of the internet connection for the new Xbox?
Wow. Y'all pretty much nailed it, but what we're nailing this, and discussions like this are why I think they're not going to do it, because I was just taking some notes and thinking, you're then basically, they're trying to lock you in, because, and then he said there's also rumors going around that you can't play used games, you're not going to be able to play used games. So that means I can't borrow games from my friends, I can't rent games. So now you're going after companies like GameFly, you're going after GameStop. And then the cost, you're kind of tricked because, okay, I go buy this new Xbox. It requires online. Okay, well, how much does Xbox Live cost? Because now I must buy Xbox Live. So I'm buying a console and I'm buying a subscription to something before I even buy a game. You know what I mean? I'm burning out my finances. And then what also scares me about that, who's to say they're going to say, you know what, like you said earlier, well, since it requires internet connection, you have to download all your games to your system. We don't need to sell games in retail stores.
Well, that was an initiative that they were trying to do way back when. They were trying to go digital. I'm sure Nelson remembers it and On Your Knees does, but yeah, continue.
And that's really going to lock you in. You really have to be committed, because the internet connection and that particular system, you're stuck. If they decide we're not going to put games in the stores anymore, it requires internet connection, you got to download all your games. I mean, who knows what they're going to make the price of those games then, and things like that. And that's crazy to me. And I don't like the fact that I'm not going to have that freedom, other than a demo, which everyone doesn't release, to try a game out. I won't be able to really just try a game. So that's crazy.
Now, kind of shedding some light on Sony, it's already been put out there on numerous occasions from multiple sources that they're going to have that capacity to lock out used games, okay? GameStop is going to get hurt. Best Buy is going to get hurt since they took on the format to do the buy and sell and trade and all that from consumers. It's I don't think it's the in-house developers of the hardware. It's the studios. The studios are the ones that lose the most when, okay, I go and I buy WWE 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say, hey, you know what? F this. I don't want to, play this no more. I go, I trade it and get a new game, right? And the online pass thing, I kind of understand why they went that route, but it was almost, I was like, damn, once upon a time, that wasn't even an issue. Because the online wasn't such a big component of how we enjoy or experience our games. But it's almost as if, just like with the death of arcades in the United States, it's almost like, okay, the model has changed. Now they're, bringing the entertainment to you, but you have to pay for it. You know what I mean? Like the arcade holders, they used to have to pay for pulling in all the resources so that you can play the stuff. Now, all of that stuff, the model has changed. The business model is changing all the time. Same thing with companies like recently with the whole demise of THQ. You know what I mean? Things are going all over the place, and it's almost as if, do we adapt to how the gaming industry is going to be dealing with the consumer, or do we just say, like on your knees, said, hey, I'm getting out of console gaming if it goes down that road, But now going into some of the specs, I'm going to give Nupe the floor and kind of just wheelbarrow it back. Now, let's compare the new Xbox and the PlayStation Orbis, right? Something that kind of bothers me a bit. Sony, we already know that they didn't fare so well with the PlayStation 3. It was difficult to program for. It required more time. But here's the thing. It had more peak power in the percentage that if you really took your time on the PlayStation 3, you can produce some kick-ass games like Uncharted, But some developing studios don't have that kind of time to invest like that. Look what happened with Bayonetta and the new Devil May Cry reboot. You can see vast differences between the 360 and the PlayStation 3 version. It's almost as if, okay, you got to make the system more accessible, easier to program for. Now, it looks like the new PlayStation is going to be a little more accessible. That was what Castle Rai said. All right? The new Xbox with this 8-core processor, they're saying for the first time in the consoles or Microsoft's pool of the console that it's actually going to be a little more challenging to develop on the new system. That's not a good idea, but Nuke, what do you think on what I just put out there?
You have to be careful with that because at the end of the day, it's about the games and, everyone is not an intellectual gamer. Like when I say that, I mean, I look for a game that's going to have substance, it's going to have depth, and I feel like I get my money's worth. But unfortunately, when you look at a lot of people who do buy these systems, who are these kids, this one looks better, I'm going to get it. You know what I mean? So if at the cost of having this high-powered machine that nobody knows how to really tap into its full potential, now you potentially you're giving up the graphics. And I mean, to me, graphics aren't that important, but to other people, it is. Like, that's, people who aren't really into gaming, that's one of the first things they're going to say to you. Man, such and such got better graphics. I'm like, okay, that's like one of the thinnest layers of a game is how it looks. I mean, okay, cool. But that will turn people off too. They may say, you know what, look, it cost me, $8 million to make a game for you, Xbox, versus, $2 million for you, Sony. So of course I'm gonna want to do more Sony games because it's costing me less. So that may be a big snafu.
Yep, it's almost as if they lose the ground that they gained with the Xbox original and the 360. Microsoft be very careful in making that system so powerful that it's going to be hard to develop for. So, Nelson, what are your thoughts on that?
Same thing as what Nupe said, that they gotta be very careful of what they put out there for, the companies to develop their games, because if they're not able to conform to whatever the specs are to make the game to like either the highest caliber or just enough for it to be on a standard plateau, the costing is going to be ridiculous. Like, why would you want to spend much more money on the Xbox when the PlayStation 3 is offering much more less and less work to do? It's gonna flip flop. So hopefully companies will adapt to these new specs of the Xbox 720, wherever the hell it's gonna be called, or the PlayStation 4, and it'll be easier. But I don't know, like the specs that they got here, like AMD 8-core processor, 3 DDR3 RAM, 8 gigs of and whatnot. It's just they're trying to go as far as like what the new tablets are. I don't know if you've seen them on the market yet. They're introducing the new gaming tablets, which are
Yeah.
very strong to the point where they might be
Yeah,
stronger
yeah.
than like a PlayStation 3 or even an Xbox 360 just alone. So it depends on
Yeah,
the developer,
yeah,
though.
they showed that one. I forget what they call it. Yeah, I forget what they call that tablet, but you can actually put it into a little device where it has the controllers and it plays literally like a
Yeah.
console. It was at the CES
Right.
show. I forget the name, and I'm pretty sure On Your Knees might know it. But
Is it this
it's
WikiPad
almost
thing
as
I'm looking at?
the advantage that Microsoft had. Oh, what's that?
Is it this
Go ahead,
WikiPad thing I'm
Onion.
looking at? I just pulled something of WikiPad.
No,
7-inch.
I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you
Alright.
after the podcast is over. But you see, Microsoft, the advantage that they had between the Xbox One and the 360, it looks as if they're gonna give up their trump card. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh giving up his Dark Magician. That is your niche. This is what got you the advantage over Sony, aside from the whole pricing scheme for the PlayStation 3. You know what I mean? It's easier to turn out games on the PC and the 360 as opposed to the PlayStation 3. And now they're gonna fuck that up. You know what I mean? I don't know. But On Your Knees, what are your thoughts on this whole ease of development between the two systems?
Well, it really hasn't hurt Sony that bad. Then again, they have they are the console in Japan. Them and Nintendo, Xbox doesn't have a presence there. So even if things prove are in the United States, they always have that market. I don't think this is going to hurt them overall. Especially if it's only a minor inconvenience to the programmers, because they're looking to make money, and as long as they still have an even market share, they'll program for both games. Especially if there's not a major difference between how many units they expect to push on each console. So if it's on either, if they expect to sell an even number of units, or Sony and Microsoft end up having a similar market share, there's not developers won't give a damn how hard it's to program for it. They'll still program for it.
So I believe might happen is they're gonna have to take more time to develop the games. Like we all know, and it happens with every console cycle. The first gen of games aren't all that. With the exception of Dead or Alive 4 when the Xbox 360 came out, and a couple other titles like Uncharted, Killzone, things of that nature on the PlayStation 3. But, you don't want them tripping over their feet, and then just like towards the end of the life cycle of a system, they really like start churning the butter on it. So it's just they have to really be very mindful, and I just hope that the dev kits makes it easy for them to develop within a decent time frame. We don't want something like, what was that game that the studio had to shut down because it failed so bad? I'm trying to remember, because I was talking to it was that he was like a demigod and you used the analog sticks to fight and shit. Can't remember. God something. I'll pull it up, but they put. No, it came out on the Xbox. I downloaded the demo and everything.
Demigod.
I'm tired from the snow shoveling and such, but I mean they put so much development time into that game, so much money into it, and it failed, and that studio shut down, and that was it. So this.
Tag.
Really?
Tag.
Good timing, bro. Good timing. But I'm just saying, I just hope Microsoft maintains its advantage, even though we can safely say that the original Wii, pushed a lot of units, and Microsoft was a distant second, and the PlayStation 3 they know they failed, but. If you are in a good position, don't ruin it. That's my motto on it. But on anything else that you guys might want to add into this topic, going around the table, Brother Noob, anything in conclusion you want to add on the new systems?
Heck yes. Will they be backwards compatible? Will they be backwards compatible? Right now, I have about 70 360 games. I would love to be able to buy this new 720 and go ahead and retire my 360 and just know I could load up and pick up right where I left off. I mean, granted, I would have to start over because the memory, I'm assuming the hard drives aren't going to be compatible. But if it's not backwards compatible, I'm going to be highly upset because some of these games are games that you can play over and over and that you're going to want to go back to. And I don't want any, re-download the classics. I'm not paying for it. I don't want to pay for it twice. You know, like the Gears of War series. I play those. Like, don't marketplace me to death. Yeah.
Now, you know what? To add to that, I'm kind of pissed off at the PlayStation Vita because not all the games are backwards compatible with it. And when you go to download them on the PSN, not all of them are available. Okay?
Wow.
So I'm sitting here with Guilty Gear Judgment, right? And I have Blast Blue, and I'm sitting here. Some of the games you can re-download them, but like you said, I'm not paying for something twice. Hell no! I already bought it. I should be able to use it. Now, audience, giving you some history. The reason why the original Xbox wasn't fully backwards, or the PlayStation, no, not PlayStation, 360, wasn't fully backwards compatible with the original Xbox games is because of NVIDIA. And when Microsoft went into using ATI, the graphics cards weren't, completely, cooperating with each other. So they were forced to do emulation, software emulation, which could run into a whole lot of things. Like, okay, those of you who play emulators on your PC, right? If you're fucking around and tweaking settings just to get it to run right, the system has to be a little bit more powerful than what it's trying to emulate so that you can at least get some sort of performance. Microsoft got tired of doing the emulation on the 360. That's why it went to a point and it stopped. That's why, CVS2 isn't backwards compatible on the Xbox 360 because it just didn't make the mark. Okay? So now, with the 360 going into the 720 or the Durango, being that they're still using ATI, there's still more room to be backwards compatible because it's still the same technology, just on steroids. So that's to answer your question, Brother Noob, in reference to that. The whole backwards compatibility thing, Microsoft can do it. We already know, and then they put it out there that the PlayStation 4 won't be backwards compatible. It's just going in a different direction.
Wow.
So, goes to show you, decision makings aren't always that great. But Nelson, anything you wanted to add on to that?
To be honest, not really. I mean, you guys just basically explained everything with the whole backwards compatibility and the whole internet connection requirement for the consoles. I just hope that it just goes well for both consoles, even though I am more of a somewhat Xbox person now because of the fact that how the PlayStation 3 is just like lacking in almost every department. Hopefully the PlayStation 4 does change my opinion on it for Sony because, like I said, Microsoft is becoming an all-purpose console now. That's basically what their idea is implementing. PlayStation 3 can't, for some reason, add a party chat enablement. They can't seem to add like upgraded internet software for their thing, and it's just lacking. So I really just hope that the next gen just better performs than what we have now.
Okay. On your knees, any final words in reference to what we touched on?
I couldn't find any, I couldn't find anything online and doing some quick searches other than the PS4 will be backwards compatible with the PS3 controllers. Nothing about the games, and like you said, since the Xbox is using the same graphics chip, they can do it if they want to. It's just a matter if they really want to. And until we get final word on that, I'm going to say more than likely it'll be... They're not going to do it. But anyway.
Well, hey, one more thing.
But, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. Microsoft, if you're listening, put the freaking new systems through a battery of serious real tests so we will not have a repeat of the Red Ring of Death because I'm angry. I'm on my 6th Xbox 360.
God damn.
I
Wait
want
a
to give
minute.
it up after the
You know
first
what?
one.
All right. And Microsoft admitted, you know what? I want to answer that. Microsoft admitted
Well,
to rushing the system.
I must say,
And
that's
when they were doing
testament.
the heat sinks,
I was gonna say, but that's a
Yeah, go ahead.
testament to that's a testament to how satisfied I am with their products, though. For me to go through all this crap with you, but still offer over those other two companies lets me know that okay, you're still doing a great job. It's just the system is jacked up, but they still offer, what I wanted. So, but please, make sure these things, come on.
Yeah, and I wanted to answer the question about the red ring of death. Now, I used to fix those red rings of death, and that had to do with how the system was produced. It looked like it was rushed. The metal that had the contacts with the heat sink to the GPU, the ATI GPU, after a period of time when the system heats up and it warps over time, the metal warps, the heatsink lifted off the GPU, thus making the system think it was overheating. And that's where the ring of death comes from. So, simple fix. You get the washers, you bend it, put the heat glue in there, do the fan trick. It'll fix it. But, with the Xbox Slims, they completely eliminated that. So they knew it. They knew it. But desperate time calls for desperate measures, and they really wanted to get a leg up on Sony. And that's kind of what ended up happening.
Yeah,
Like you made a good point. Microsoft is delivering the games and the experience that's going to keep you coming back. And you kept buying Xboxes, and that's the same thing that was happening with PS2s. I bought 7 PS2s, and I was so mad at Sony for taking my money and I'm like, never again. And that's where my hatred for Sony came from. But I still support their stuff. I still have a Vita. And, I know Nupe is laughing at that, what I mean? But I was pissed. As long as the new hardware comes out sturdy, if it comes out sturdy, I got no problem with it. Really, Nupe? Really? I heard that.
No,
all right, but in conclusion, do we have any final words before? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I said I didn't have to buy. Thank God I didn't have to buy all my Xboxes. I didn't have to buy all these Xboxes. They did a good job of replacing them, but I know they paid for that in shipping costs. I know they was tired.
Yeah, that's why they stopped eventually, and that's why they don't produce the original Xbox anymore. You'll still see the Slims. You know what I mean? But all right. But Dustin, any final words? And on your knees?
Nah, I'm good.
Are you good?
Stay
all right.
healthy. Stay out of the snow. Don't be like me with the flu.
Well, hey, you can't help that, man. Just don't hang around Nelson too much.
Dang, yo, for real.
So, without further ado, this is the conclusion of our little industry look on the new consoles. Let's just hope that the future is bright for both sides. All right, so this is Alexlexs Nelson Rios coming at you with our staff members on your knees and Nupe, and we'll come back for another topic on the reboots. So those of you who want to get in on that, you're gonna like this topic because there's gonna be a lot of craziness going on. It'll be like Hurricane Sandy, but in a podcast. All right, so we'll see you next time
so do I
on
have
the
to watch
New Fighting
Flood
Order
Waters
podcast.
again?
What, say again?
Do I have to watch for Flood Waters again?
You know what? No, you won't.
The water was up to my door when that shit hit, man. That wasn't fun. I had to go wading through ocean water to get so my car wouldn't float away.